recording.
Testing, testing.
I need to make these joints bigger. Okay, not joints, but
The circle thingies?
yeah, too tiny. So anyways, Windows, I think.
All right. So this is where we left off last time. Is everybody's joints tiny like this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and make those a little bit bigger because we're gonna need that. Go up to Display Animation Joint Size. Display Animation Joint Size. Yep, we want to crank those up.
I made mine to 50.
Whatever number feels comfortable for your eyes. There's no secret number. I'm just going to do 25. That's fine.
Oh, I made mine way too big.
Alright, so we're going to keep this real simple. We are going to create some controls for this guy so we can animate. Last time I showed you like real quick how to do the leg controls. Actually, I didn't show you, I just did it. What we're going to. So today we're going to finish out these controls, and yeah. We are going to use curves for controls. So go over to the upper left tab where it says curves. There's a circle control called a NURBS curve. Go ahead and click that. Look up here. See where it says curves, surfaces? And I want you to make a NURBS curve like this. And then just scale it to about as big as the grid, like this. And this is going to be our main control that's going to move this guy around. Okay? And, anyway, yeah.
That bigger. No, from the center. Oh no. From there, make it the size of the grid. I just made mine on the outside corner, so it's big.
On the outside corners?
That's what I did.
Alright, and when you're done with that, I want you to duplicate it and put another one on the hip. V will snap controls to joints, and you can hide your object like this by going to Show Polygons, by turning off polygons, Show Polygons, and you're going to be probably switching back and forth between turning off polygons and turning on polygons just to make sure that we move the are able to snap the controls. So V is snap.
Oh.
And remember, 4, 5, 6 switches between wireframe mode, flat shaded mode, and textured mode. When you build that hip controller,
On that center. The base.
really, to be honest,
90 degrees.
yeah, I would flip that hip controller 90 degrees. So it goes over the, and you can type the 90 in the channel box here. So it goes over the actual, because it's, otherwise we'd have to make it a massive hula hoop. And now another cool thing about these controls, if you right click on them and go to, what's up man? If you right click on them and go to edit point, you can manipulate these. As you can see up here, I'm manipulating the points on these curves to like match the shape of the object a little bit better, so our controls kind of look like they're tailored to fit the shape of the object. So again, you can right click and hold on these and go to edit curve, or just curve point. See how I've shaped that circle, half circle, to now kind of be a hula hoop around the top of this thing? So again, you can right click on those circles and go to curve, right click and hold and go to curve point. Right click and hold and go to curve point. You have to right click on the circle, and then you'll see these little pink points on the actual curve shape, and you can adjust it. You want to make sure that this one is, the one in the center is rotated 90 degrees. Another thing is that we had turned on the wireframe on shaded, but that kind of like makes our eyes go all over the place. If you go to shading and turn off wireframe on shaded, your thing will just be smooth like this. And you can even turn off X-ray joints. I don't really think we need those anymore. We're trying to actually really just see what this is going to look like with the controls around it, because that's all the animator's going to see. The animator won't see bones. Animator won't see like inverse kinematics or anything like that. IK. They're just going to see controls and character.
Oh, you turn on both X-ray joints and wireframe.
Yeah, if you go to shading, I turned off both X-ray joints and wireframe on shaded, because we just don't need it anymore. We only really need wireframe on shaded when we're like skinning and like moving vertices around and stuff. So as you can see, I've taken that circle and I've kind of shaped it like a dome to kind of fit around the top of that thing. And that's going to be the circle. This will be the controller that the animator will grab to move this thing forward, or like rock it back and forth or rotate it.
Is there like an actual difference animating from the skeleton in these curves?
Yes. So it's basically like when you put curves, we're going to attach the skeleton to these curves, and you don't ever want to animate on a skeleton directly, because the cool thing about curves is we can't actually like edit the skeleton in regards to limiting what the animator can do with it. Curves, we could like turn off rotation on curves to where the animator can't rotate a specific control or can't scale a certain control. We can like create like things that the animator can and can't do with controls. We can't do that with joints. There's no like real world analogy I can give you, but it's just better to have controls than to animate directly onto joints. Anyway, next thing I want you to do is duplicate the base control and snap it to the gun joint up at the top. We're going to need a controller for that gun joint. So grab that base circle, duplicate it, Control D, and V snap it to the gun joint. And then you can either shape it, or you don't have to go crazy. Probably just a circle will be fine for that, to be honest with you. Some riggers really go crazy, like designing their controls and making them look all crazy. Me personally,
It's really not that. It really doesn't. It just turns, just spins.
Yeah.
Up and
It doesn't
down,
do
or is it
anything.
just left and right?
I mean, say again?
No, does the turn go up and down, or is it just like
It goes up and down. Up and down very slightly, but it goes full 360.
So this is what we have so far, 3 controls. One snap to the bottom of the grid here to move the entire thing, the hip, the hip and the gun. That's all we got so far.
And Chris,
Yes, sir.
does the rotation of the controls matter as far as like the forward axis? Like for the turret?
You mean, I don't understand. Can you
So for
say?
your, if you click on your curve for the turret, your blue axis is facing away from where the turret's facing. Does that matter?
So, if you click on any control, or really anything in Maya for that matter, and just tap W or E or R, which is rotate, scale, or whatever, you're going to see a manipulator here. The manipulator is colored red, green, and blue. And if you look down in the left-hand corner of Maya, you'll see a red, green, and blue small little XYZ. Those colors correspond. Does that make sense? So what color would Y symbolize here? Can someone tell me?
Green.
Which is what? I'm sorry. That was a stupid question. What color does green symbolize?
The Y-axis.
Y. What color does Z symbolize? I'm sorry. God, blue symbolize.
The Z-axis.
I just gave you the answer. I'm retarded. I should never be a math teacher. That would not work out well for me. I like giving you guys the answers. That's the problem.
During the test.
Yeah, right. So they all match up, and it doesn't matter really. Like if you're just having a one-off solo control over here in space in its own bubble, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Now, when you have an arm, like this guy's arm, where we have a joints that go all the way down, and you want the arm to curl in all one thing, then all of them need to match because they all want to curl in the same axes. But if it's just this, solo deal, it's not a big deal. All right. Now, next control, we need to make a foot. We'll go ahead and do the upper left foot. Actually, you can just go ahead and we can do them for all feet, to be honest with you. Just do one, move it over there, snap it, snap it to the tip of the joint at the bottom foot, scale it to be about yay, it doesn't matter. Now when you're happy with that scale, duplicate all 4 feet. Unfortunately, unlike everything else in Maya that we're able to mirror, you cannot mirror control systems, which really sucks. They need to be kind of custom done, which isn't a terrible thing. It's not like they take a long time to produce. Remember, duplicate is Control D, so once you get a foot control that you're happy with, just duplicate it. And then V snap it to the tips of the joints. And I'll keep my controls up here. V snap. Hold V while you're moving it, and it will snap to whatever joint you're moving it to. And if you look up at the projector, you can see what the game plan is here. Okay. So let's go ahead and add. Let's go add some locators. So if you click on the rigging tab, the far left thing is called a locator. What we're going to do is we're going to scale that up to 5 in all axes and V-snap that to the elbow. I guess we can call it the elbow, or really it's like the wrist. And we are going to actually need that bigger than 5. So let's make it 10.
Where do you put it?
If you look up at the projector, you're going to snap it to the...
Oh, the, okay.
Yeah.
How big did you want it?
So
Scale
scale it
10?
to 10 in all axes, and you'll do that in the channel box in the upper right where it says scale XYZ.
U to all 4.
Yeah, give it to all 4. And then there's like a knee above that. Give that one the same thing. Duplicate it and give that one the same thing.
Same scale?
Same locator. We're going to use that one for the knee point.
What about the flap?
Flat?
I think we need to do a circle for the flap. So go ahead and give the flap a circle. Just because we got a lot kind of going on. Up there.
Do we rotate it like 90 or just leave it like that?
I'm gonna show you some stuff on that. Don't worry about that right now. Okay.
Flappers.
The flap. The important flap.
Very important.
So we're kind of setting up.
I made it a bit smaller.
That's your own fault.
4 legs at one time here, which is kind of crazy.
Is it really low?
Yeah. Kinda. It's kind of gonna get a little nuts. And then we'll need one more circle for the shoulder. And the shoulder will be the joint that's directly connected to the hip. And you're going to want to rotate that 90 degrees. And it's not actually the shoulder, it's the clavicle. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can look up here and I can show you. It'll just look kind of like this. It's
I was about to say, I don't know if you know me, but I saw me.
You mean
Anatomy.
anatomy?
Whatever.
Astronomy?
Shouldn't take the test on one list.
I don't tell him, Maria.
Nothing over. I'm just telling Raph about he doesn't know anything.
Okay.
Wow. That's not very nice.
Dang.
Every time.
What?
Damn, you just got wrecked, Raphael.
I'm used to it.
By Maria.
That's not good.
It never is.
And that's it. That's all we're going to do for this guy. We may add some other stuff, but...
That's it.
There
Um,
has been more.
I don't know, man. I don't know what we're going to do. We'll see. Well, I mean, we got to, like, actually, like, set up these controls, but, I mean, it's basically like you want to lay it out first, you know? So when you're done laying out your controls like this, go ahead and save your scene. Just file save before we start going crazy. Crazy.
Crazy.
What's the difference in the green thing to here? What's the
Honestly,
difference?
there's no difference. It's just that there's no difference. They're all controls and they'll all be used the same way.
So there's no size difference.
Nah.
I made the font just a tiny pad smaller.
That's fine. All right. All right. After we save, what we need to do is we need to tell Maya that these arms are all kind of in their default pose. Okay. Otherwise, when we start setting up these controls, they could kind of move out of position. And so the way you do that is in your little drop down in the upper left, switch to rigging. And where it says skeleton, there's a tool called set preferred angle. And you can just open up that tool, the option box. And what you want to do is click each clavicle and just go ahead and hit apply on each clavicle. And the clavicles are the joints directly attached to the hip. And basically what we're doing, and this is what you would do for like a regular arm, like on a human, you would like set the bones in place and then set preferred angles. So Maya's like, okay, this is how the arms are like supposed to like be, kind of at 0 basically. All right. Now, the next step here, we want to go ahead and set up our IK. IK is, I don't know if you guys saw last time where I grabbed the arm and I like moved it and it was stretchy. IK is kind of like the rubber band stretchy thing. And that is under the rigging tab next to the right of the bone or joint tab, and it's called create IK handle. Double click on that, and there's a setting at the top called current solver. Make sure that's on rotate plane solver. It should be by default. Is everybody's by default on there? Yeah, double click the IK tool and make sure it's on rotate plane solver in the setting at the top. Very important. Otherwise the IKs won't be able to rotate. We want to parent them together and have them rotate. If we change it to single chain solver, we won't be able to rotate them. Alright, next step. So once you click the IK tool now, you can close that window. When you click the IK tool, we want to do one from the clavicle to the wrist. Then we want to do one from the wrist to the tip of the toe. So, yeah. So when you click the tool, a little crosshair is just going to come up. Then you just click the two joints you want them to connect to.
But the clavicle to
The clavicle to where we have the wrist, which is the next one up from the toe. I should call it ankle. I mean, it's so weird. I don't know what to call this thing, to be honest with you. So we got one from the clavicle to the ankle, and one from the ankle to the toe. And you can actually grab them and move them already. Make sure you hit rotate or Control Z. So you should be able to drag a box around and move the one on the ankle, and then drag a box and then move the one on the toe. And as you can see, IK actually controls joints, or will move joints when it's attached to it. Pretty cool. I think it would probably be better if we just do one leg first before adding. If you really want to do all four at one time and you're a maniac, then go for it. I'm gonna do from here on. I'm just gonna like focus on one leg, and then I'll go back through the process and do another leg, and then you guys probably will know enough at that point to finish out the legs yourselves. So if you're a maniac, go ahead and do 4 legs at one time. Alright, so once we got our 2 IKs created,
it won't let me do the second one.
so the second one will go from the ankle to the toe.
No, it's
If you have problems, you can always just select the IKs and delete them.
Again, because after you do the first one, it resets.
Yeah, alright, watch. So
Oh, okay.
if you have a problem, just drag a box over both of them and just delete them and just redo them.
Okay,
IKs
there
are
we go.
easy to redo. It's literally 2 clicks. So click, 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 click. Adding IKs are super easy.
No, so I was like, it reset it. I didn't know it resets.
Alright, the next thing we want to do is we want to parent the toe IK to the ankle IK. Okay, and you do that by selecting the toe IK, then hold shift and shift select the ankle IK and tap P on your keyboard. And I'll say that again. We want to parent the toe IK. That's weird. It's not letting me do that.
Doesn't let us select both of them at the same time.
That's odd. That's new. Okay, for whatever reason, it won't let you parent it in the actual view, which is bizarre, but you can open your hypergraph hierarchy and drag the IK handle 2 under IK handle 1. You'll have to use your middle mouse button to do it. You want it to look like this. So you just go, the hypergraph hierarchy is Windows, General Editor's hypergraph hierarchy. And you'll want to drag your IK handle 2 under IK handle 1. And the middle mouse drag, it won't let you just drag it. You'll have to middle mouse drag it. That's the scroll wheel.
There we go. I got it.
And it should look like,
It has to be one under 2 or 2 under 1.
what's that?
Lower, 1 under 2.
2, so it goes 1 and then 2.
Under.
1 on the top, 2 on the bottom.
Okay.
Basically, when we rotate that ankle, we want the toe to follow it. Pretty simple. All right. All right, so the next thing we want to do is we want the we need a controller to drive that IK, the ankle IK. Because we're not going to actually, we want, that sprocket controller, the locator on the ankle, we want that to drive the ankle IK. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to parent the ankle IK under that controller, but we need to align that controller first with the toe, or with the ankle, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to use a tool called an Orient constraint to align the controller to the ankle, and then once it's aligned, then we're going to delete the constraint and then parent the ankle IK underneath that controller, okay? So we're just going to use the tool to line up the controller, then we're going to delete the constraint, then we're going to parent the IK to the controller. So in order to align that controller to the joint, you select the ankle joint, then shift select the ankle control, and go to constrain orient. Constrain orient. And then once you orient it, you'll need to find, yes, and it looks like this. And then when you're done with that, you delete the constraint here. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. So basically, you select the ankle, then shift select the ankle control, and then go to constrain orient. Constrain orient. And when you're done with that, you want to find that orient locator constraint in the hypergraph hierarchy and delete it. And you can find stuff in the hypergraph hierarchy by selecting it in Maya, and then in the hypergraph hierarchy just click F and it'll zoom to it.
Did all 4 links.
Really?
Yes.
It's great. See how that control now, it's like constrained to the direction of the joint now? Does that make sense? And you want to delete that constraint. So it just stays oriented, but it's not actually, that constraint will actually lock it to the joint. What's up?
Which one do you select first?
Can you show him?
You select like that, and then you click shift select that, and you go constrain.
Do you need help, Maria?
Constrain.
Raphael, can you help her?
And you can see help select. Scroll along there. You see that little?
You guys good over there? Nice.
And now do that with the rest of the legs. And if you're doing the rest of the legs. I already did it. I already did the rest of the legs. I know, I feel like a regular. This is so I'm just looking at it. That's just looking at it. They're just being straight up looking at it.
So you need to open this up.
I know. That's what do you think? I didn't know that. Looking easy. You're gonna have to pull out at least this part.
Guys, for you guys that are done, the locator above it, I want you to do the exact same thing to the locator above it. With
Which
not the flap, the knee.
which
So select the knee first, shift select the locator above it, constrain orient, then find it in the that's weird. That's not supposed to. Hold on, don't do that. Undo that, sorry. It's not doing what I want it to do for some reason.
Where's that constraint on you again so I can show?
It is under constrain orient. Where's that constrain orient? Under constrain orient.
So once you drag this into that, you need to select
You didn't play.
I didn't play
Halo,
enough.
huh?
I didn't play enough Halo. I need 8,000 hours. I'm only at 5.
Fucking amateur.
Only on 5 or at 5,000?
5,000 hours.
Just 5,000.
Huh?
Just
I
5,000.
know, just 5,000. Scrub numbers.
Fucking amateur.
I've been playing since 2001. Actually, been playing since 2000, even though Halo didn't come out in 2000.
Excuses, man.
I know, man.
An alpha, man.
An alpha, pre-alpha. Ooh. In development. Should have made a development. I should have came up with the idea. Damn.
But you didn't.
I'm a scrub.
What if we have a guy in space in a green suit? There you go.
And the guy in space in a green suit. But what is he doing? I don't know.
There he is.
Killing shit? With googly eyes, bro.
Trust me, the googly eyes will scare the enemies.
Yes, they will.
All right, guys. We have a problem.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's not that big a deal. I just want you to delete. So instead of going, we need to delete the IKs and just do them a little differently. Same thing, except for the IK needs to come from the, not the clavicle, but the next joint down from the clavicle to the ankle. So we had it going from the clavicle to the ankle, and then the ankle to the toe. We need it, we don't want it on the clavicle, we want it on the next joint over, so the shoulder. So just select your IKs and delete them.
We just did on that right.
Bro.
Wait, what are the guys saying? Those little lines?
No, my shit was already on there.
Oh, great, yeah. So you don't put it on the clavicle, do it from the shoulder to the ankle.
In the wrong spot.
That's great.
Hey,
Yeah, that's what I did too.
Great.
I didn't realize that. Fucking I'm way ahead.
Yeah, and then parent
So, like, grab that. Oh, wait.
Use the upper right hand.
I
So
forgot
right.
that.
Where's my grab?
Please do it the same way again then.
Yeah, all you're going to do is just delete your IKs. Just redo them, this time from the shoulder to the ankle and the ankle to the toe, and then parent the toe IK to the ankle IK in the hypergraph middle mouse drag it under it in the hypergraph hierarchy. Yeah, just a quick fix. I just didn't think that one through. Sometimes, shockingly enough, it's hard to like teach and think at the same time.
So wait, so why? What's the difference? What makes
So we want, if you look up here, when we move this one, we want it to drive the toe from that point, and then we want to be able to rotate the clavicle from here. So the clavicle is going to rotate this little area, and then the toe will move the foot. A little crazy, but you know, I mean, you know, I'm not really an expert on like spider monster anatomy, but I know enough about like legs and stuff to like make this thing kind of work. And the other thing is like as a rigger, like you're not, you know what I mean? Like you're just not gonna know this stuff. Like this is something that like does not exist in real life. So you're gonna have to kind of come up with shit on the fly,
Right.
and then you give it to an animator, and the animator plays around with it a little bit, and they're like, hey man, can you make the knee, you know, can I have the ability to make the knee do this or whatever, and then you just add that control. So you're basically like, your job is to support animators. All right. So the next thing we want to do is we want to rotate the knee control to face the direction outwards that it's heading towards the flap joint. So all we're going to do is grab that knee control and rotate it in Y 50 degrees. Grab the knee control rotate it in Y 50 degrees. So it points the same direction heading out towards the flapper joint. And that for sure you can go around if you really want to and do for all your other ones. It will not be 50 degrees. For the other ones, it'll be something else that is a thing of 50. Well, I mean, it may be negative 50 or positive 50, I guess, for the other ones. You see what I'm saying, though? We want it to point out.
Yeah.
I tried to orient constrain it, but the problem is it faces downwards towards the ankle, and that's not what we want. We want it facing outwards, because we're going to use this control to handle the way that the knee points.
Wait, so are we keeping the IK here or is it here?
What the?
50 doesn't look right.
If 50 doesn't look right for you, then do it to a degree that does look right for you.
So you want it to line up with the
Where's the IK at?
Is it right here with that hip connects or?
I have a problem.
I put it right here. Here to here.
Oh.
Alright, from here to here. From here to
46.
with the
Cool. Yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. Remember, there's good and there's good enough.
Oh no, I was asking where the IK went.
Yeah, that was good for it.
I don't know if it was right where the hip connected or the one next to it.
So, we're not going to go super crazy, but I'm going to tell you that riggers are extremely meticulous, and this, as you can see, mine's a little off still. It's not really accurate. So what we would do if we wanted to be crazy accurate is we would create something to where we could orient constrain this control to, and it would be at the exact same angle in multiple axes.
It's V now.
But right now we're just kind of guessing here, so it's not a big deal.
So does V not work?
V will snap it, which is fine, but what we want, I'm going to show you something here. I want you to double click on your move tool in the upper left hand corner. Double click on your move tool, and you can change the way that you move objects, the orientation at the top, to actual object itself, and you'll notice that the move manipulator changes, and then you can grab that and you can pull it out. See that? That's why we aimed it, because what we're going to do is the knee is going to aim towards this thing. So pull it out a little bit. And you can use your numbers at the top and translate XYZ. Actually, no, you can't. Don't do that. Just pull it out a little bit.
Where do you go for the move tool?
You double click the move tool, and then you'll change your axis orientation to object, so it moves along the object's axis as opposed to world space axis. And then you'll drag your little controller out in space.
Do you do that for all the legs then?
So sure.
I wasn't very confident.
Yeah, so what we would really, the problem is that when we move this out in space, it moves in XYZ, and the values are all different. And so really when you're doing 8 legs or 4 legs like this, you want all those locators to be out in the same space around the thing, if that makes sense. So really what we would want to do is like group this control, then duplicate it, then like flip it over on the other axis. So it's exactly out in the same amount of space on both legs.
Is there a way you put it on a circle or something like that?
Well, what you can do, I'll show you. Fuck it, we'll just do it. You want to change your axis orientation back to world. Double click your move tool, and then close that tool. And what we're going to do is we are going to open up the hypergraph hierarchy, okay, and then find that locator. You can just click F and it'll zoom to it. Now I want you to group that locator, Control G. Then I want you to duplicate the group, Control D. Then what you can do is you can rotate that group -90 degrees or 90 degrees. Well, that didn't work. Yeah, you want to scale it, that group, the duplicate group, -1 in scale X.
So wait, do you grab both or just the duplicate the group?
Let me go over that again, okay? Sorry. And you can just start from wherever you're at. So find the locator in the hypergraph hierarchy, group it, Control G, then find the group. Then you're going to duplicate the group, Control D. Then the group that you duplicated in scale X, change it to -1. And it will flip it over to the other side. So now it is exactly in the same space on the other side that it was on the original side.
What do you do with the other one if you have one already there? Like if you made one for the other leg,
You'll do the exact same thing.
okay.
So you'll group it, you'll duplicate the group, you'll flip the axes. So if yours went to the other leg, then you just need to do a different axis. Not -X, or not X, but just do the different axes until it flips to, because I don't know what leg you're on or what. So we're just using the groups as a tool here. When you're done with the groups, you want to unparent your locators from those groups and delete the groups. Okay? So oftentimes we like set up different hierarchies in Maya just to use as tools to flip stuff around or to move stuff around, but then we need to remove those tools when we're done with it. It's like going to work on a house, bring your tools with you, and then you don't want to leave your tools at the house when you leave. You want to take them with you. Or throw them away. Nice. So when you're done using those groups, unparent the locators from those groups, which is Shift P, and then delete the groups. So we don't need those groups anymore. And the locators will stay where they're at. Alright. Shift P is to unparent. P is to parent, Shift P is to unparent.
What's the red arrow? Because I don't see red
A second.
I have a red arrow instead of this.
You just hit it. Shift P will unparent locators from groups or anything.
So we're going to delete the one on the other leg then?
You delete the group, right?
Yep.
Unparent the group first and then you delete it.
After you how do you unparent?
Shift P.
On the locator?
Yes.
Okay.
Alright, everybody with me? Alright, so now that we have everything set up for this leg, all the controls are aimed in the right direction. Actually, there is a control that is not aimed in the right direction, and that is the flapper circle. The flapper circle right now needs to be rotated to match the direction. So let me see if we can do an orient constraint with that. And we can. Alright, so I'm going to show you a trick with the orient constraint. So we want the flapper circle. So guys, just look up here real quick, and then you can do it. So right now, as you can see, the flapper circle. Let me bring this back. See the flapper there? The controller doesn't rotate with the way that the flapper aims, right? That flapper's aiming out this way, but the controller doesn't rotate. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the joint that is connected to the flapper as an aimer for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that knee joint, shift select the flapper control, and then open up my orient constraint options. And in your orient constraint options, if I were to just hit apply here, it's going to flip it to it's going to put it on the right axes, but it's going to flip it up like this. I don't want that. So what you can do is, instead of constraining to all axes, you can do it to just one axis. Which I think is going to be Z. What the? Get out of here. Which is weird, because this is not working. Yeah, I guess just do it to all. And let me see how that looks. Yeah, if you do it to all, it will aim in the direction of the thingy. Then just delete the orient constraint. And then we'll just rotate that down a little bit. So after you orient constrain it, delete the orient constraint, and then just rotate it like downwards a little bit. So it just kind of shapes the direction of the flapper a little bit better. If that makes sense.
You click the leg, or this part right here, and you select this, and then constrain, and click your box.
Did I lose you? Yeah, help each other, you guys.
Don't you have a circle on the line? Or not on the fly, but like. You're supposed to have an arrow of these. You don't have one there. You only have one on the wall, no these. You duplicate it and then attach it to the flower.
All right. All right. So now what we want to do is we're ready to set up, connect our controls to our joints. Okay. But these controls have like translation and rotation data and scale data on them. So what we need to do is remove that data so they're like all zeroed out. Okay. So what I want you to do is go to Show None, Show Controls. I'm sorry. Show NURBS Curves. I'm sorry. Yes. Show NURBS Curves, but also show IK handles. No, God. Not IK handles.
Getting there.
What the hell are those things called? Locators.
Locators.
So you want to show NURBS, curves, and locators only. Sorry. Not the IK handles. What? Say that again? Just look up here. Show, none, show, NURBS curves, and show. You can pop this out too by clicking the little line at the top. Show NURBS curves and show locators. Alright, then we want to select them all and delete by type history, and then modify freeze transformations.
Delete by
So
history.
don't do freeze transformations.
Don't freeze transformation.
No. So edit, delete by type history, not all by type history. And then go to modify freeze transformations option box and turn off scale and then hit apply.
Oh, what the frick?
Modify freeze transformations option box and then turn off scale and then hit apply.
It would not let me.
You just need to select your controls, the NURBS curves, and the locators only. Not joints, not IK.
No, that's what I did.
Unrotated.
Undo.
What? Here, this popped up. Right. So you parented something to something, or you okay? Click on here. Zoom into whatever that is. You might have keyed something. Yeah, you keyed something. I think I'm doing now.
What the heck? That's bizarre.
Oh, I just.
We don't want them to rotate.
Turn off rotation.
We do. Turn off rotation?
It shouldn't do that though. It should just. That's bizarre. Why is it doing that? Yeah, I guess just uncheck rotate. You don't want it to rotate, you guys. So undo, and then I guess we'll keep rotates too. Whatever. I didn't want to do that, but okay. All right.
Big righties there.
Hey kids, look at these.
Little kids scare me.
Look what I did. I just looked at playing with the aliens.
Literally have to wait till this train goes by before we can continue.
Why?
Hi. He's scared of kids.
You're scared of kids, girl?
I'm definitely freaked out of kids.
This is too many.
Oh, my parents
For sure.
Come and attack me.
Migraines, I can feel them coming.
Wow. You're ready to line up for you. Then you put they got questions for you. Hey man, you gotta pick one out.
Why should he eat Kura?
They're freaking me.
Will you be my daddy?
They're freaking me out.
Why do you look so damn, man? Calm down. How long did that take? 20 years?
Are you a teacher? Look at me.
I know, it freaked me out. Alright. Alright, you guys, you want to go back to show and just show all and then hide polygons. Show all and then hide polygons.
But I don't want to hide my polygons.
Yeah, you do.
Okay. yeah, you do.
Alright, so now what we want to do is, so we're going to go through here and set up some more stuff. You want to put the IK handle for the ankle. We want to parent that to the ankle locator that's rotated. So you need to find both of them, and you can really, yeah. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to just select the ankle IK, then shift select the ankle control and tap P.
Wait, what?
What?
He's like,
Holy shit. Oh, what?
Okay, look. Just look up here. Maybe that's better.
looking.
Looky.
You drag a box over the ankle IK,
Mm-hmm.
shift select the ankle control,
Yes.
and tap P.
Okay.
P for parent.
P for parent.
Now when you move the ankle IK, or the ankle control now,
Oh,
it should drive the ankle IK.
Triangle.
Yeah, huge white triangle.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Why is there a triangle though? I'm
Don't
scared.
worry about it.
Don't worry about it, fam.
Don't worry about it. Alright, I guess I'll do it the rest of the way, man.
Okay, wait, hold on. Alright, so that's how we're supposed to do that. Now the next step here is you want to
How did you screw up that?
So is a big white triangle supposed to
yes, triangles are fine, y'all.
the big white?
Totally fine.
What y'all doing over there?
Yeah, really.
You screwed up.
Big white triangle, is that?
Yeah, the big right triangle.
That triangle's fine, fam.
Hey, that's suspension.
Alright, then you want to parent. Alright, the next thing you want to do is you want to parent the ankle control to the toe control.
Parent it?
Parent it. So when we move the toe control, we want it to drive the ankle. Okay? So you'll select the ankle control first, then shift select the toe control and P.
That's scary.
So when we move the toe control, it's going to move that ankle, but we can still rotate the ankle independently. Okay? Does that make sense? So you're going to select, again, you will select the ankle control, then shift select the toe control and tap P. Nice. Okay. Now, let's constrain that flapper. Alright? So, constraining controls to joints is very easy. We've already used one form of constraint. It's called Orient. The next constraint we're going to use... Actually, we can Orient constraint that one too. Because it's just going to rotate around. So Orient constraint the flapper joint to the flapper control. So you'll select the flapper control first, shift select the flapper joint, constrain Orient.
So the
the flapper control.
Select the flapper control, shift select the flapper joint, constrain orient.
Constrain.
Alright. Now the next step we want to set up, we want to do the same thing for the clavicle control. You want to orient constraint the clavicle to the clavicle control. So select the clavicle control first, shift select the clavicle, constrain, orient. Uh-oh.
Wait, so the clavicle and what?
Still up.
Oh, right. Houston, we have a problem. I need you guys to undo the flapper situation. There's a checkbox we missed.
Oh, here.
So undo to before the
Flapper.
flapper was constrained. You need to open up your orient constraint options. There's a checkbox at the top that's called maintain offset. Maintain offset. You want to check that on and then constrain it. So select the flapper control, shift select the flapper joint, and then hit apply on that and do the same thing for the clavicle. The problem is without that checkbox on, the joint will flip to whatever position the control is at, or orientation the control is at. And we don't want it to flip. We want it to constrain and freeze at its current point.
Check the maintain offset.
Check maintain offset.
And what do we do with the clavicle again?
The same thing.
I know, but like, oh, okay.
Shift select the clavicle control. Select the clavicle control. Shift select the clavicle. And
Apply.
yeah. Have I like lost like 80% of this class?
Nope, I'm still good. I'm still with you.
Alright. This is just starting, spending like an hour on one leg here. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, like, I could fly through this in like 10 minutes myself because I already know it, but like teaching is a totally different thing. We're almost done. A couple more steps here, alright? Right.
Nice.
Alright, the next step is the elbow aim. Okay, the elbow aim. You want to select the elbow control, which is way out in space. Then you're going to shift select the ankle IK, and we're going to use a constraint called pull vector. Constrain pull vector. And I'll go over that again. You want to select the elbow control out in space, shift select the ankle IK, and then go to constrain pull vector. And you'll see now when you move that knee control, the knee will aim towards it. Nice.
Nice.
Alright, we want to now parent that knee control to the toe control.
Wait,
So select the knee control,
knee control,
shift select the toe control, and hit P.
P.
So if you move the toe now, it's going to move the knee control and the ankle control.
So steps.
Now we're not done yet. Still got more.
No.
Nice.
Impossible, bro. You said one more step.
Yeah.
He's a liar.
So then
Well, okay, we're done. We're done here. Why is it not working, Kura? You're lying to me.
One more step here, y'all.
Y'all.
You guys.
You ain't freaking Texan.
You guys always complain of something.
I can't hear you.
Freaking Texan.
There's so much going on.
is there
Everything better.
I can't see your screen.
Everything better. Texas.
so I'm pairing
You gotta go to
taking
Texas. You can't see Texas. You gotta see
Yeah,
Texas.
the foot control.
With the unit at the end of Texas.
circle, right?
Yes.
Burn.
Yeah. Texas. Let's go to Texas.
What you're saying is supposed to be
Go to Texas.
When you move,
Oh, yeah, with the other.
grab the toe, grab the toe control. Move that.
No, Texas.
It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do.
I thought you were dragging chest piece around.
Strippers are working.
No, watch my screen. When I grab the toe, it moves that.
I thought you were moving the other piece.
No. We want this toe control to drive the whole leg. And then if we want to go back up and work different controls within the leg, we'll do that.
Killed the Scarab. Oh my god.
Fine. Has multiple.
You didn't grab it. You didn't. Go. It's supposed to go on the joint. What are you doing? You're pissing me off.
Remember what I told you the other day?
What happened the other day?
Better be pissed off.
It's better to be pissed off than pissed on.
All right.
No.
No bathroom breaks just yet. Squeeze it.
What?
Squeeze it.
I don't need to use the restroom. What do you-
Hold it. We ain't done here. We'll finish one leg, then you can go smoke or do whatever you gotta do.
Whoa. Whoa.
I don't smoke.
Not that kind of smoke, fam.
Oh, okay.
How did that get off? God.
What the hell?
So
That's
see?
what's wrong with it.
All right. Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah?
There's always
How
a
many times are you
problem.
going to say that?
Yeah.
What? You're Yeah.
What do you need, Houston?
All right, listen.
We're listening.
All right.
Yeah, mine's got.
The flapper control is now offset.
Oh, that sucks.
Or is it?
It's all fine.
Yeah, it's not fine. Stupid flapper control. No, you can't just move it. It's messed up. All right, delete your flapper control.
Delete my flapper control.
Yeah, flapper controls are
Delete
gone.
the file.
Not the file, the flapper control. See ya. Flapper controls are gone. Flapper controls are gone.
No, that's mean.
And there is an
Oh, there goes the leg.
We don't need those flappers.
Need one lesson.
Freaking flappers, 1920s.
Really?
Yeah.
all right. Flapper control's gone.
What is that? I thought it was the 20s.
We need to finish this leg, so I'm not even gonna mess with the flapper. Forget the flapper for now.
Okay, doesn't matter.
Yeah, nobody cared. Goodbye. Sorry, say goodbye to the flapper.
Bye, flapper. Oh gosh.
So really, I think the leg's done.
Bad.
No, it's not done yet. Okay.
Oh, turn it in.
You want to parent the toe control to the main base.
Parent, toe, base. Toe to base. Toe to base.
Toe goes
Toe
to base.
You said we got a problem. Toe to base is not responding.
Wait.
Toe to base.
Yeah, no, yeah. Toe goes to base.
Toe goes to base.
Is it not? What is it?
Parent the toe to the base. So when you move the base, it's going to move that toe. All right. The clavicle will get parented to the hip, and the hip will get parented to the base. So when you move that base, it's going to move.
The clavicle goes with what? The clavicle goes with what?
The clavicle gets parented to the hip control.
Okay.
The hip control gets parented to the base control.
Okay, hold on.
Mind blown right here.
Okay, hold on.
Isn't there like a song about this?
First grade, man. Come on.
So the clavicle control or the clavicle?
Goes into the hip.
The-
And then the hip goes into the base.
So if you move the base, everything should move. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
But they need to be, like, everything just can't be parented to the base. It's got to be worked down the chain.
Right.
So the, fingers will get parented to the hand will get parented to the elbow will get parented to the shoulder, and then the shoulder will get parented to. Eventually, it gets to the base.
Gets there.
So run that one more time. Sorry.
Run that again.
Just look up here, fool.
I'm looking.
Look and don't do.
Okay.
Come on, fam.
You obviously can't do and look at the same
I'm
time.
sorry.
Clavicle gets parented to the hip.
Yes.
Hip gets parented to the base.
Okay. One more time. One more time.
I'm not doing it again. It ain't happening again.
So if you move the clavicle, nothing happens. Like right now.
Right.
What? I mean.
Jeez. All right.
Hold on a minute.
The clavicle move at all.
That goes to there.
You still got another problem.
What the? Hold on a minute. Hold up. Wait. So that thingy goes to that, and you press P. Fucking Christ. Okay, hold on a minute.
I'll put Christ in there.
All you're doing is pushing a button that says P. That's it.
This is hard.
This is hard.
Okay, that goes to that. You press P. It's already a child.
That means you've already done it.
It's already done it. Okay, then that goes to that.
You should probably press this.
Okay, and then that goes to that. Oh wait, hold on. That goes to that.
You want to go back to first grade, fam?
Let me just.
Anyhow.
God damn, man.
Struggle bus over here.
Elementary school.
You're done, fool.
I done it already? Are you sure?
Yeah, everything's driving. where it's
Positive?
supposed to Drive.
Damn.
Yeah, fool.
Well, you already had.
I feel stupid, bro.
Yeah, everything's driving. where it's
Damn.
supposed to drive.
No wonder.
Alright, play some Dark Souls, fam.
My feelings are trapped.
All right. So Micah brought up a good point. When we move the base, when we move the base, the freaking shoulder doesn't move, right? So we need to point constrain the clavicle control to the clavicle. So select the clavicle control, shift select the clavicle joint, and do a constrain point. And what that's going to do, yeah, you're going to do a point constrain. Point is translation, orient is rotation.
Point constraint.
Point constrain. You're going to point constrain the clavicle control to the clavicle joint.
Option dock or point?
Just point. Should work fine. And then when you move the base, the whole leg system moves. We also need to do what's called a parent constrain with the maintain offset checkbox checked for the hip. So hip control needs to drive the hip, with a parent constraint with the maintain offset checkbox on. Parent constraint is translate and rotate. So you can either do point, which is just translate, orient, which is just rotate, or you can do parent, which is translate and rotate.
So we're doing parent
For the hip control will constrain with a parent with the maintain offset checkbox on. And then you want to also parent constrain the same way the base to the base joint. So all we're doing, we're parent constraining the hip control to the hip joint and the base to the base joint. Parent constraint. The clavicle? Clavicle will be, we're going to point constrain. Because we've already, point constraint.
So you clicked on the circle.
So in order to constrain controls to joints, you always select the control first, then the joint, then constrain it. Control first, then joint, then constrain it.
If my root is moving when I move the hip, what have I done wrong?
If your root is moving when you move the hip, the
There was nothing specific on the point.
Never mind. I had a most like that. Yeah, I had a most like that.
There we go.
You good?
So nothing specific on the point.
No, that's exactly how it looks like when they drop.
Just click on it.
just click on it.
Is that
So
what it is?
at this point, is he good? At this point, we're done with the whole system and one leg.
I did all four.
Nice. Yeah, so you can, as you can see, guys, look up here. As you can see, we can move the whole system. Okay? We can move the hip. We can rotate the clavicle. We can move the knee. We can rotate the foot. And we can move the entire foot. So that's why we just went through all that shit, so we can have a lot of control. And I'll do it even, look up here. I'll show you with the thingy on here, okay? So we can move the whole system. We can rotate just the hip. Okay? We can rotate just the clavicle. We can move around the knee. We can rotate the toe, or we can move the entire leg system.
This is so cool.
Save your scene.
What is the time frame that riggers usually have
For what?
for doing this?
You know,
An hour?
here's the thing with the, like, in a game or a film. In a game or a film, all right, let's talk about a game. So a game, somebody comes up with the idea for the game, come up with some idea for some characters. Characters have to be concepted. Concepts have to be modeled. Once the models are done, the UVs have to be done. And then once the UVs are done, the rigger can actually start rigging the characters. Once the characters are rigged, then the animators can start animating the characters. So really, there's no real time frame. Everything needs to be, everybody's waiting on everybody. There's a chain of events that have to happen. Do you know what I'm saying? So the animators are waiting on the riggers. The riggers are waiting on the modelers. The modelers are waiting on the concept artists. The concept artists are waiting on the designers to come up with character ideas. The designers are waiting on really nobody.
So, wouldn't you have multiple things in the pipeline as far as like, okay, concept is done, now they're working on the next concept, and the modeler is working on the first one? Does that make sense?
No,
It doesn't work like that.
I don't. Can you rephrase the question?
Okay, so say the concept artist comes with the concept.
Okay.
It passes the modelers. Within modeling.
Yes.
They're modeling while the concepts are coming up with another concept.
Correct.
Okay, right.
Trust me.
But there are certain things that can't happen at the same time.
I was trying to
for example, animators can't animate a character while the character is the character's being rigged.
Right. That particular character.
Riggers, correct.
Do you have that at home?
So
riggers
could there be
can't-
multiple characters in the flow in the pipeline.
That's correct, but like if a team just starts, as you know, you've been part of several project devs. You know, certain people have to wait when a project starts on stuff to get done.
Right.
Like if there's no characters modeled, riggers and animators are sitting around twiddling their thumbs.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So
But once there's one in the pipeline.
once there's one in the pipeline, everybody
Everybody's
can work,
working,
and
right.
then the process starts all over until you run out of stuff.
Right. Nice.
Yeah, nice. But what we do in Project Dev is we try and make sure that everybody has something to do right away,
Right.
which is very, very hard to do.
That's
Because
not really how it works.
this is not really how it works, but you know, y'all are impatient. So, and yeah,
Okay.
What?
I mean, people are just impatient in general. So,
What's interesting is it's slightly different for programming because you can pretty much always have something to do with programming.
correct. Yeah. Anyway, so you remember the steps for the leg? Go ahead and do the rest of the legs. I'm just kidding.
Oh, God.
Just one leg. Just a quick question.
What's up?
Didn't want to interrupt you.
Yes, sir.
So the hip, the center one,
Uh-huh.
that one connects to the line, connected to the arm.
The line connected to the arm. What does that mean?
The joint.
Control arm.
Okay, so the center circle
Yes.
is connected to this one.
To this.
correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Constraint.
So you have to
Parent constraint.
Parent constraint.
Parent constraint.
So you do that before the base one, or do you do the base one before that one? Or does that not matter?
It doesn't matter. Yeah. So he just asked me a good question. I'm gonna explain some stuff here because we just did a bunch of stuff real fast. Yeah, not even real fast, but basically, controls are constrained to joints. IKs controls also drive IKs. IKs drive joints. Yeah, that's all I got. Nice. Did you do all 4 legs at one time? Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
You're an animal.
Look. Damn.
Are you done for real?
Damn fool. That was probably the smartest thing to do, to be honest with you. 'Cause
Yeah.
now we got to go back and do all the legs.
Because I can chill.
Really, what I should have done. Oh my god, you're an animal. Really, what I should have done is just done one leg instead of duplicating all these controls like this. But
I want to do the turret, but I don't know how to do
The turret's super easy. You just parent constrain it.
Like the one day that I
I mean, really, you just actually look. Don't parent constrain it. Orient constrain it.
do it.
The turret, you orient constrain it. Hey, shh. The turret, you orient constrain, and then parent the turret to the hip.
To the hip?
Yeah. So when you rotate the hip, it rotates the turret, and when you rotate the turret, it rotates the joint.
Okay, where is my hip?
Did you only do Ricky?
Hang on.
Wasn't there a checkmark you said not to do on the parent control?
Parent constraint. No. You want to leave it on.
I think I might have screwed up.
When you orient constraint the turrets, is it with maintain offset check on or off?
Orient.
David?
Say that again?
Do we need to maintain offset to the turret or?
All legs? While he was in between parts.
On.
Yeah.
Okay, what happened now? What?
Oh.
You got a problem?
I think like so like you just click that and then constrain orient, or did you shift select the joint?
Select that, then shift select the joint.
Yeah, you have to get in there.
And then constrain orient. Now parent that control to the hip control. Shift select the hip.
There. You already done.
Already did,
Yeah. Are you done?
I think so. Then
You're done full.
and then do I?
That should. You don't want to move that one. That
Which
one
way do I
you
move
just
the
rotate.
hip? Or just rotate it?
Yeah, you're not gonna move the turret around. The turret's just gonna rotate.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's kind of cool.
Rotate. Shoot.
Did you parent the? Hold on. Rotate the hip control.
Do the back legs have to move too?
Okay, you're. See how when I move mine, it moves with it. Your
Oh, I didn't. Oh, I didn't parent something?
no, your go show no polygons.
Show no polygons. Your freaking control's off there, fool. See your control? It's not centered. See how mine's centered?
Which control?
The turret control. Yours isn't centered.
Yeah.
Wait. Give me. Oh man, this is Wong City.
I know it is. Because I could have. I messed up with that shape. I was like, screw it.
Oh, you messed up with something. Hold on. Oh right. Did you do an orient constraint here?
The turret?
What is this?
Huh? What?
Is it?
That's what I got.
This needs to go to this.
Oh my god.
So when I rotate this, yeah. There we go. I think I don't know what you did. Why is
I don't know
that?
what I did either.
Okay. Right. Okay. So instead of orient constraining this thing, to be your orient constraint, we're going to do a parent constraint instead. So you want to parent constrain the turret. So delete the orient constraint. Parent constraint. There you go. There you go.
Would you parent? Aren't the back legs supposed to
Parent,
move too?
parent constraint the turret control, not orient.
when you
not
move-
orient constraint.
When you move the
Onto the hip or the base?
parent. Look up here. Select the parent or the turret control. Shift select the turret joint, and you're gonna do a parent constraint. If you've already orient constrained it, you need to delete the orient constraint. To delete the orient constraint, click the joint, find it in the hypergraph hierarchy. I don't know though because mine's working fine. I don't know what you did.
I don't know either.
Chris, you
I mean-
messed up this game.
I'm just gonna.
Orient constraint works fine for me. I don't know what he did. I don't know what that guy did. I mean, really, you can just keep what. If I said orient constraint on it, it works for me. It should work for you. When you rotate the hip, it should rotate the turret like this. I think he did something else weird with his control.
I don't know.
Parent constraint will work too, but
Wait, move your hip again.
you mean like this?
No, I
Yeah, I
didn't.
just move your hip. Okay.
He's not clicking on it anymore. No, I don't think I hit the turret onto the hip yet.
So when you rotate the hip, the turret should move with it. And the reason why that's the case is because the turret control is parented to the hip control. Basically, the reason why we don't just parent everything, we use constraints, is because we want the skeletal structure to just be joints. If we start parenting stuff, we're going to put controls inside the joint structure, and we don't want that. Constraints keep controls outside of the joint structure. Does that make sense? Because when we take stuff into Unreal, Unreal only understands joints, and it doesn't know what curves or IK or whatever. It only understands, Unreal only understands joints and polygons. That's it. So I'm gonna work this other leg here, and then we're done with this guy.
Also, like,
And then, well, then you got to do your back legs, but they're the same thing. So, actually, I should probably just do a back leg. It's the exact same thing here. So I'm going to work through a back leg real quick if you guys want to watch. Then I'm going to stop this video and upload it, and then you guys can do your legs. Okay? So I'll just work through this real quick. Please and thank you.
I'm gonna watch it.
Alright, so I'm just going to work down the leg here. So the first step is I am going to constrain my clavicle control to the clavicle. So I'm going to select that, shift select the clavicle, constrain. I'm just going to do parent constraints from now on, because whatever. Maintain offset on, go. So now the clavicle drives that. I'm going to create my IKs. So I'll create an IK from the shoulder to the ankle and the ankle to the toe. I'm going to parent my toe IK to my ankle IK, which doesn't work in Maya for some reason. I have to go into the damn hypergraph hierarchy. So I'll middle mouse drag that under. So now that rotates. I need to aim my ankle towards the direction of the toe. So I'm going to select my ankle, shift select the ankle control, and do an orient constraint without maintain offset on. Then I need to delete that now. Delete the constraint. Oops. Now it's aimed. And then the elbow control, I'm just going to rotate 50 degrees. And I'm going to move that one, double click my move tool and change it to object space. And I'm just going to move that out. And while I do that, I'll go ahead and group it. I'll duplicate the group, and then I'll rotate that, or I'll do -1. So it flips that one over to the other side, and then I'll unparent my elbow controls and delete the groups. So now the clavicle I'm going to parent to the hip. So when I rotate that, it does it. The ankle IK I'm going to parent to the ankle control. The toe, I want to drive the ankle, so I'm going to parent the ankle to the toe. And then I'm going to pull vector the knee to the ankle IK. Then I'm going to parent the ankle IK to the or the ankle control to the toe, and then the toe I'm going to parent to the main body. Yep, should be working now. So let's go ahead and give that a test. So now I have two legs that work. So main body should move everything. Should rotate the hip. Should rotate the clavicle. rotate the claw, the knee, and move the actual leg. And so that's the back leg, and now you'll just go set up the other two legs the exact same way that you set up the back leg.